Aloha, my name is Jama, and I've come to you today to talk about my new project in channel. This one is Convergence Evolution, and the reason I went with that title, I'm going to read you a definition of it. It is the act of converging, coming closer. It is also the approach of an infinite series to a finite limit. So let me just describe that a little bit. There are many of us who are converging. We're being called to action, let's say. We're coming together, we're coming closer together to unveil the new earth and implement systems in place. I don't even want to say systems in place because it's more about self-governing. It's more about a call to action of maturity, a call to maturity. We've been very immature in many areas in our relationships and in our lives, and this is coming into awareness. We were made conscious several years ago, and now we're becoming aware of that consciousness. And there's many of us who, by some unknown force, many of us know it, are coming together, and we're being called to activate. I call myself a bringer of light, shower of the way, and unveiler of the new earth. I say unveiling of the new earth because from what I've experienced and what I've seen in my life, particularly the last few years, is it's already here. It's among us. We're discovering many things that were veiled, we wasn't aware of. We weren't conscious of. These things are already here. They're here for us. It's not separate from us. And one of my goals in that is to bring the light in every dark situation. That's a challenge to me. And one thing that I'm completely confident that I can do is I can bring the light in every dark situation because it's always there. It's like this. The dark's there and it's coming out right now. It's coming out of the shadows. We're all becoming aware of it. The atrocities of human nature, the things that have happened to us, the traumas, the suffering. And through this, some of us have awakened to an enlightenment, into authenticity of ourselves, into integrating ourselves. We've been very fragmented, projecting, blame shifting, having traits that are dark, and there are things that we don't want to see in ourselves and we don't want to see in others, but they're very real and they're very present, and they're particularly present within the principalities of power in the governmental systems. But the light's stronger than the dark. The dark must be seen in order for the light to penetrate it. But once it penetrates, it starts to expand. And we just continue expanding, expanding, and coming together, converging. Many are saying that it's the great awakening, the great shift, right? Well, those things are true, I believe. But so many are getting stuck in the dark right now because they're becoming aware of the fact that we've given up our sovereignty. We've allowed a systems of man to control and direct us in our lives. And now we have a time where we're able to create our own lives. We must stand in truth, speak truth. There's nothing wrong with being righteous. We are the ones we've been waiting for. On this is a call to action. I'm planning to have and working with other brilliant minds on a few different projects. This is one of them. I have other few coming up on Rumble with others who are generating and manifesting, projecting from spirit to a life that is of peace and love, that's no longer of darkness and control, of free will. We all have free will, and that's something that many of us have known, and others of us are just now experiencing. And those of us that have come together have been brought together through our pain and suffering, our trauma. We've all pretty much been traumatized. There's really nobody that I know that hasn't. And through that, we can evolve. We must integrate those traumas into our authenticity, into our awakening to be all that we can be. There's many that are doing mind-blowing things. There's things going on now. There's information and knowledge that is coming to many of us. We're becoming enlightened and aware of knowledge that we don't need systems of man in order to build and create our own heaven on earth. All we need is faith and belief. Just take a leap of faith. You know, those who have eyes to see are seeing this. You're either seeing the kingdom on earth or you're seeing the world. It is a great split that's going on right now. And those who are seeing the kingdom are the creators, the manifestors, the projectors, the actors, as far as acting and creating of the new things in the earth, you know, technologies, the energies for all, the clean water systems, you know. And many of us have been brought together through our lineage. We have a common denominator that it's like a magnet of, that's why I chose convergent evolution, because we're being drawn together into this action that we're being called to do right now in bringing the light. Some of us are bringing the dark in order to bring the light. And I understand that, but so many are being stuck there. They see and they're envisioning a future of even greater control and dominance from this entity that's running throughout our governmental systems. And they can't see the light, and that there's another system running right next to it, right going through it, that's giving us the power. We have power to create our own lives now, to be everything and more than what we ever imagined we could be. I've had a lot of traumatic experiences over the last years. I've been through several systems of men, just about every system in the court systems, medical systems, school systems, just about everything that really was my calling to do what I'm doing now, to share knowledge, to share information. But through that, I've had the unseen forces, as we call them, the spiritual forces. They're very real. They're very there. And they've guided me. I've had divine guidance and enlightenment. I've had downloads. I receive downloads all the time. And I go in and do a lot of shadow work. So I can go into myself and see those truths and bring them forward to others. I believe I have, extrasensory abilities that I'm existing in more than one dimension. And that has kept me through some of the worst suffering one could imagine. It has kept me content. It has kept me grounded. It's kept me happy. And we all have that power. We're all able to live a life of love and peace. We don't have to give up our authority to anyone. We do not have to give up our free will. We are beings of light. We are spirits having a human experience, not humans having a spiritual experience. But if you don't believe in this time, you're going to fall. We're going to fall or we're going to rise. There's nobody, not one person right now, that's going to be able to avoid the choice that we make. We all must clear our lives of who and energies, I should say energies more so than who, because we fight against principalities of power, not flesh and blood. These are energies, they're unseen energies, just like the lights here in this godly force. There's a dark force that's guiding many, and they're falling into the shadows right now. They're falling into the world, into Babylon. But there's a kingdom here, a kingdom of love and peace and greatness. And my belief is only those who go forward in this and focus on this and start to see this, set their sights on that rather than things of the world, are going to be the ones who are left standing in the end. The game changers. Systems of man are not good for man. We're seeing that. So to continue to go back to systems that have failed us is basically the definition of crazy. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. I know great many minds out there, great minds. And even amongst those, they're trying to recreate these systems. They think they need to get another system in place that helps humanity so these things don't happen. Well, we've done that. We've been there. The Constitution was actually whole and perfect in what it was. It was designed and created to prevent these things from happening. But the failure there, why did it fail? Is because of man. It is in the nature of man to get greed in their heart, to get power and control once they've tasted of it, and to make their own rules. It doesn't mean that system that was in place failed us. It was these forces that came through, the shadow government that infiltrated and took over into the hearts of man because of the power and control that have failed us. I know. Many of you have information out there that, it wasn't a good system. But from my awareness and my knowledge and what I've experienced, and I've even used it myself, that if it was actually used and implemented and followed, we would have peace and love and liberty. And that's another thing. We're being called to mature, which is liberating. We're being called to be liberated. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We come from the stars. Well, there's many things I'm going to be talking on, and many people that I wish to have join me in this project. That has it's very multifaceted. It's gaining more traction, and more people are coming together. And I just wish this to be a place of knowledge and wisdom, and tools given for us to understand and see what we can do in order to become liberated, in order to take our power back, in order to be everything that we can be. We can be so much more than what we are today. We're really archaic. Our ancestors really had a much more advanced life and system of relationships, growth, love, unity. We need to go back to those ways. It's being unveiled before us. We need to understand the system, the nature of the machine. Again, I will say, systems of man are not good for man. Self-governing, checks and balances. We're coming in a time where I think there's going to be smaller communities that are self-governed. And there is checks and balances to keep these forces at bay. And if they don't follow these checks and balances, these people will, like in the tribal times, indigenous peoples did, they will simply be removed. But a lot of those, I don't believe, are going to make it into this time where we really, really start seeing it come to fruition here on Earth. I talk to so many and so enlightened individuals, and few, very, very few really see the kingdom. They see the light. But it's here. It's among us. And we all have the ability to live in that and build our lives in that. But we can't do that by continuing to be in relationships that are toxic and unhealthy, by, paying more attention to ourselves and the other sex over our children or over our family. We really have to start setting our priorities and living in our authenticity. It's hard. It's hard work, but it doesn't have to be hard. It really doesn't. Once you get there and you're in unity with your own family, because it starts there. It just starts flowing. And the children are really more mature than most adults that I see right now. They understand relationships more. So many are seeing them as broken, and they've come from broken homes, and they've been alienated and traumatized and so many things. And you know what? They're actually getting it. They get it. We are the ones holding them back, the adults. We need to set priorities. We need to release all predatory and psychopathic groupie energies in and from all areas of our life. That's not a call to condemnation. We've all had them. We've all had them within ourselves. But the more we do it, the more it will shift, and it will manifest to those around us. And this collective unconsciousness can become conscious of love, unity, peace, of not this infighting that we see. this tearing away of each other, this destruction. Again, you're going to rise or you're going to fall. Now is the time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. I hope to come back with you with much knowledge, with much of these things that I've received in the downloads that I've been given. Things like the multiverse instead of the universe, ley lines, Tesla technology. There's other really brilliant, great minds speaking on these things. There's others who have accessed these technologies and have gained riches from it. It really doesn't know dark or light. So the more light comes upon these areas and starts to gather, the more it's going to take a snowball effect into the earth and bring about energy, clean water, and all these things that will stop the imbalances that we have today. But we can't do that because we can't focus until we start to focus on ourselves. We start there. Integration, care, self-care. Care for yourself enough to not allow others to hurt you, use you, demean you, destroy you. Because when we allow this, we allow it to our children. We allow it to our parents. We allow it to everyone around us. And many of those relationships have been broken apart and destroyed. We can mend those, but it starts with us, and it starts at home. Peace be to all. Have a good night.